Oh yeah, football is back. It's almost here. It's July 30th is stake. By this time next month, it's already going to be high school football season, then college football will be rolling around, and then the pros. So, we're going to start our series previewing, breaking down each division of the NFL. This will be our last segment today. We got the show coming up tomorrow. T-Bone will be here. Jonathan Winfrey will be here. My other friend Dion will be on the program as well tomorrow. And maybe a few other surprises will be on the show here tomorrow. So we're going to be rocking here on the Alf'Dawg Show like we always do. But we'll preview the AFC North. Now the story of the day, story of the week obviously, Terrell Owens has joined Chad Ochocinco in Cincinnati. That pairing, that wide receiver pairing, man, that's going to be explosive offense. You got Carson Palmer. And he has to redeem himself. Carson Palmer, he had a very pathetic performance in the postseason last year. So he has to redeem himself. And then, so the running game was very good as well. The defense was what made Cincinnati, though, as well, kind of contenders last year in that division. So, you got Cincinnati. Pittsburgh, they're going to be without Big Ben up until October. That's huge. That is huge. Pittsburgh, they're usually off and on team. They're good. But when they're not, it's a crash landing. So it's going to be interesting to see if at least the Steelers can go 500 in their first 6 games without Big Ben. If they can, then they'll put themselves at least in position to still make the postseason. Remember, the Steelers did win the Super Bowl back in Super Bowl 40. They did win that Super Bowl. They was the 6th seed. They took the final spot in the AFC wild card that season, and they won the Super Bowl. So, even if you're a wild card, you still, with a team like Pittsburgh, you still, if they're in position, they can still win it. So, don't count the Steelers out. And the Browns, they have Mike Holmgren coming in. Mike Holmgren runs things now. He comes in, he brings in Jake Delhomme. Remember the 2 quarterbacks that were here before? Derek Anderson, Brady Quinn. Who should be the starter between those two? Got rid of both of those problems. They're both gone. Even Brady Quinn, who grew up here in the state of Ohio, in the Cleveland area. Both gone. Now you have Jake Delhomme, who will probably be the starter. You have Colt McCoy from Texas in the fold. And then Seneca Wallace. So now we're going to see what Eric Mangini can do as coach. We'll see how that's going to turn out. A lot of optimism. See, this might actually be a good season for the Browns. Usually around town, every year you get the sense of the Browns might be actually good because they're talked about a lot about this time. But this year, you haven't heard that much talk about the Cleveland Browns. So that probably means they might actually be good. Just have to wait and see. So how will that, and with Baltimore, are they truly Super Bowl contenders? I think so. I really think they have the best defense. They have the best defense in the league. And that's within a division that has a Steelers defense, when healthy, is the best. And Cincinnati's defense was just up and coming. And you're in a conference with the Jets, who also relied on their running game and their defense with Darrelle Revis. So we'll get to that on our next show. Joe Flacco is getting better and better and better. He has really, the success and failure of that team lays on Joe Flacco. Even though he doesn't have to do, he's not asked to take all the responsibility, but it is still on him, as it always is on the quarterback. But the running game is fantastic, and I really, really believe that if Baltimore gets off to a good start, they're going to be Super Bowl, they're going to be one of the favorites. And I think Baltimore is up there at that level with the Jets and the Colts as a top-tier team. And they have surpassed the Patriots, in my view. They have surpassed the Patriots as a top-tier team in the AFC. So how do I see things playing out? I think Baltimore, but with that being said, with all the expectation, with expectation comes great responsibility. I'm not sure if Baltimore can handle that. With that being said, I think Cincinnati finishes the division at first place. I got Cincinnati 12-4. I hope somebody's writing this down. Cincinnati 12-4. I think T.O. may not be at a top tier level, but he doesn't have to be, because now you got two dual threats, and Ocho Cinco, formerly Chad Johnson, and T.O. on the other side. So people's gonna sleep, especially early in the season. People's gonna sleep on Terrell Owens. And Terrell Owens is going to come through. And then, you got the running game as well. And Carson Palmer has something to prove this season. So I think Cincinnati, people's going to want to watch Cincinnati. They will finish, you may think I'm crazy, 12-4, the Bengals. Second place will be Baltimore. I think Baltimore, they're going to struggle a few times this season in the regular season. It's one of those things that happens. But I think the defense, always a solid defense. They won't be a problem. The offense, they're gonna, the continued growth of Joe Flacco. You're gonna finally see it towards the end of the season, end of the season, start to come together. So I think the Ravens will finish 10-6. Pittsburgh, they're going to have so much crap going on that you may not like this, but I see the Steelers finishing 7-9. And the Browns, they're going to have an exciting team, a young, developing team. I think the Browns, they're going to show some promise. They'll finish at 6-10. So, which is an improvement over the last couple of years. So those are my predictions of the AFC North. I'll debate it with T-Bone tomorrow, and we'll break down the rest of the AFC divisions as well tomorrow. Okay, I'll talk about, is Baltimore really a top-tier team? With the likes of San Diego. San Diego might have actually fell off. With the likes of the Colts, the Jets. I think behind those two teams, Baltimore may be the best team. Now, even though I did say Baltimore finished second in the AFC North, I do think they'll have more success in the postseason than Cincinnati. You don't have to be an awesome regular season team to win in the postseason. You just have to get there. You just have to get there. You see that with teams that gets to the championship level across the board. You just have to get there. You see in the NHL, you've seen teams who were the 8th seed defeat a 1 seed. So, the playoffs is the playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care what you say. I don't care if your theory is, okay, we got to tank a couple of seasons so we can get a top draft pick. I don't believe in that because the playoffs is still the playoffs. Once you're in the tournament, anything goes. Anything goes. And you're still bringing in money for making the playoffs. And you're drawing interest to it. I cannot understand, I'm switching topics back to basketball. I cannot understand those who are saying, well, the Cavs should just tank a couple of seasons. What guarantee do you get? I can understand clearing out cap space. That I can understand. But what guarantee do you get by tanking seasons so that maybe you get lucky and get a draft pick? You're only going to get a LeBron James once every generation. You're only going to get a star quality player once every 5-10 years. Okay? The Clippers have sucked for 30 years. And you know, and they've been at the bottom of the barrel forever. But they're not landing draft picks to get better. You know, so I don't buy into that theory at all. I think you make the playoffs, it's still the playoffs, okay? And that's another problem that we may have come across. Because I know for sure if the Cavs or if your team sucked that season, you wouldn't tolerate it. You would not tolerate it. And I know there might be some Cavs fans that say, well, we'll take a couple seasons to get luck out, get a draft pick. You don't want to do that. Because you're going to be frustrated watching the games. I mean, yes, you're not going to be at the top tier level in the regular season, but what did that get you? A second round exit for the playoffs. The playoffs is the playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. You see what happened. What would have actually happened if the Chicago Bulls, a 7th seed, would have actually beaten the Boston Celtics in the postseason last year in the first round, 2009 first round series, that went 7 games, that had 4 overtime periods, or 4 games that went into overtime. A couple of them went to double overtime. What would have happened if Chicago would have won that series? You give yourself the opportunity. You've seen how Golden State turned out and how Dallas turned out in 2006. Or no, 2007. Just because you're a top seed doesn't mean it's a coast ride to the finals. You're going to be challenged. But you have to get there in order to accomplish that challenge. Even though you may not be a top tier talent, the most talented team, if you give yourself a chance by going to the playoffs, you put yourself in the driver's seat to give yourself a chance to hold that title at the end of the season. But instead, there's people who want to tank seasons. I can't stand it. Thank you for watching my show. That has been my rant. I'm Anthony Alford. Good night. Have a nice weekend. We'll see you tomorrow here on the Alf'Dawg Show.